Shah, Barakatah Yahweh Shah, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shah. Barakatah Yahweh Shah, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shah.
That he who blesseth himself in the earth shall bless himself in the God of truth. And he that sweareth in the earth shall swear by the God of truth, because the former troubles are forgotten, and because they are hid from mine eyes. For behold, I create new heavens and a new earth, and the former shall not be remembered, nor come into mind. But be ye glad and rejoice forever in that which I create. For behold, I create Jerusalem a rejoicing, and her people a joy. And I will rejoice in Jerusalem, and joy in my people. And the voice of weeping shall be no more heard in her, nor the voice of crying. There shall be no more thence an infant of days, nor an old man that hath not filled his days. For the child shall die 100 years old. But the sinner, being 100 years old, shall be accursed. And they shall build houses and inhabit them, and they shall plant vineyards and eat the fruit of them. They shall not build, and another inhabit. They shall not plant, and another eat. For as the days of a tree are the days of my people, and mine elect shall long enjoy the work of their hands. They shall not labor in vain, nor bring forth for trouble, for they are the seed of the blessed of the Lord, and their offspring with them. And it shall come to pass that before they call, I will answer, and while they are yet speaking, I will hear. The wolf and the lamb shall feed together, and the lion shall eat straw like the bullock, and dust shall be the serpent's meat. They shall not hurt nor destroy in all my holy mountain, saith the Lord.
Barakatah Yahweh Shah, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shah.
The Lord promised better things for us, okay? Because the Lord, Yahweh Shah, has a favorite people. And he's going to give this favorite people a heavenly kingdom. A kingdom that's blueprinted and formatted and patterned after his mind. How he want a kingdom to be.
Barakatah Yahweh Shah, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shah.
All right. Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Kakodash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples towards younger brothers. And peace and blessings, salutations to Hopeful Lake out there pushing his word in truth and in sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh Bashim Shah, pushing to get up out of there. Shalom to the Hopeful Lake, the believers, the listeners who have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bashim Shah. All right, and what I want to get into, the American nightmare continues, man. All right, and the homelessness is getting so bad. All right, that they have a new term, okay, that they use called van lords. Okay, where people, are renting out, vans and campers, okay, RVs for people to live in. Okay, and it's bad. I got a documentary, a video, and it just goes into, the housing crisis, the homelessness, surge in America. Okay, and here it is, America boasting, they spun this and that. What Trump say? There's been 20 trillion invested into America this year since he's been president. Well, that money must be going towards AI. All right, because he damn sure don't give a damn about the people. Okay, every time you see Trump, he's talking about 6G, AI, Mission Genesis, AI accelerate. Okay, no one's addressing this, the homelessness spike. Okay, so we're going to get into it, man. And ultimately, as the scriptures say, all right, and show you that what the scriptures reign supreme. Okay, because all the hardships that we see happening, well, they can be explained in the scriptures. Okay, and what we're seeing, all right, is the Lord punishing America, man. Okay, and it's beginning, all right, with the everyday civilians, but ultimately the rulers, okay, of this system are going to go into captivity. Okay, and he's using, all right, the rulers, the elites, and their underlings, whether it's the technocrats, the different politicians, okay, to be a cruel Lord. Okay, because this is a punishment, man. All right, and it only gets worse. Okay, and we're here to tell you, as the prophets of Yahweh Bashim Al Shah, there's no good news, okay, for you Americans, man. Okay, you 2/3 here, you Edomites, you other nations, there's no good news for you Americans, man. Okay, you're going to get the worst part of the judgment of the Lord as he's getting ready to judge the earth. As he's starting to judge the earth, man, judgment is out there now. Okay, so you read the book of Isaiah, chapter 19 and verse 4, and it says, I will hand over the Egyptians to a hard and cruel master, and a mighty king will rule over them, declares the Lord of hosts. Okay, so this whole system has become cruel, okay, over here in America, man. All right, and your government is at full out war with you Americans, man. And by the time you realize it, it's gonna be too late. You have some people waking up. Well, see, the it's so much damage done been done. People, this system, has supplanted so many people. Okay, it has created so much dependency on the government. Okay, on the grid. Okay, that these devils, these elites have all the leverage. Okay, and people are at the mercy of this devil's economy. All right, and it's wreaking havoc on people, man. This economy, okay, is being a hammer. It's hammering people to pieces, man. Okay, the scriptures talk about how Babylon is the hammer of the whole earth. Well, that hammer, okay, has turned on itself, on its own people. Okay, the American hammer is hammering its own people, man. Okay, to powder. You see, verse 5. It says the waters from the sea will dry up and the rivers will be parched and dry. All right, because this thing is drying up. Okay, America, used to, be, America did have abundance at one time. Okay, you can leave a job and go get another one the same day. Okay, there was a time when one income took care of a family plus savings. Okay, there was a time when you didn't have to go to college. Okay, to be a homeowner, all this drying up, man. All the perks that America once had is drying up. Okay, this is going to get worse, man. America is sliding into a third world country, man. Okay, but the only difference is way more guns. Okay, so you figured out where this is going. Okay, he said the canals will become foul smelling. The streams of Egypt will thin out and dry up. The reeds and the rushes, okay, will rot away. The meadows by the Nile, by the edge of the Nile, and all the sown fields of the Nile will become dry, be blown away, and be no more. Okay, so the Lord, all right, is dismantling this society, man. Okay, he's using the elites, okay, because he's using their ambition of a new world order against them. Okay, so in their mind, they just have to tear down the old. Okay, so this old order is being torn down. All right, and they plan to unalive a lot of you people in this transition. Got to throw that out there more. Okay, because people think they're just going to segue to the UBI. A lot of you not going to make it to no UBI. Okay, a lot of you not making it to no UBI system. Okay, you're going to a DIE system. Out of here. Okay, and it says the fishermen will lament, cry out in grief, and all those who cast a hook with the Nile will mourn, and those who spread nets upon the water will languish. Okay, so all these careers that people, once had security in, jobs are being, moved off the board. Okay, you have, people that's trying to start small businesses are suffering like none before. Okay, the terrorists, and it's a lot of things. Okay, that this devil is doing. Okay, within this controlled demolition of the economy. Okay, so trying to get the business off the ground is hard as hell. Trying to keep one going is hard as hell. Your career is uncertain. You work for the government job. People had these government jobs and thought they was secure than ever, man. Out of the okay. It says those who are the pillars and foundation of Egypt will be crushed, which is the middle class. Okay, and the middle class is being crushed, hammered to nothing. Okay, it says, and all those who work for wages will be grieved. Okay, and so the princes of Zoan are complete fools. Okay, and the Lord has a foolish spirit on Esau, man. Like what this nigga is doing is foolish overall. Like his game plan, his strategy to try to be the Most High is a foolish idea, man. Okay, and people, all right, you people are caught in the mist. Okay, of this devil trying to pull this off. Okay, it says the council of the Pharaoh's wisest advisors has become stupid. You see, this man is being advised to try to be the Most High. The dumbest advice you can get. Okay, they're encouraging themselves in the evil manner, as it says in Psalm 64. Okay, and this council is stupid. Think about it. We're just gonna fight Yahweh Shah when you come back. Okay, we just gonna be the Most High. We just gonna go for it. We're gonna just delete everybody's memory. They're not gonna remember the Most High. It's stupid. Okay, he finna fail miserably. But in the midst of there's gonna be a lot of chaos, violence, poverty, civil unrest. Okay, and this is what things is gradually sliding into. Okay, because hard times create desperation. All right, and then in America, this desperation will turn into violence. All right, it says, how can you say to Pharaoh, I'm a son, it's like I am a son of the wise, a son of ancient kings, man. Okay, so let's go from there. Because I want to get this, I'll pull this up real quick. I just asked a quick Google. Sometimes you gotta go to the chat. All right, so just a quick Google AI overview. I say, is America trending towards third world countries? It says, while the U.S. remains a leading, global economic power, some researchers, and indices suggest, all right, it's trending towards conditions seen in developing nations due to widened inequality, a shrinking middle class, and issues with democracy, infrastructure, and healthcare, leading to the discussion about a dual economy where some citizens experience third world conditions despite overall national wealth. Okay, because you people don't enjoy the national wealth of America, man. All right, their wealth is concentrated to a few elites. Okay, and they're constantly patting you down for what look you got left. Okay, so it says a dual economy where you got the elites balling out of control. Okay, and everyone else is sliding into third world conditions, man. Okay, America is turning into the Hunger Games. Okay, quickly. All right, it says arguments suggesting a shift towards developing nation conditions, man. So how in the hell is America having the same problems as developing nations, man? Because America is the reason why there's a developing nation. Okay, and the scriptures say, if she done to others, do unto her, man. And ultimately it's gonna be, those missiles hitting this place, man. Okay. But before the missiles hit, we're going to see extreme poverty, man, because America has impoverished a lot of nations in the earth, man. Okay. It says economic disparity, and MIT economists suggest that the U.S. has a dual economy with a wealthy elite and a struggling majority, similar to developing countries with stark divides. Indicators point to a dwindling middle income group impacting access to the American dream. The American dream is over. Survival mode, Hunger Games. Okay, and the dream is done. You see, people can start talking about a dream. Okay. It says the U.S. has been ranked as a flawed democracy by some indices, noting challenges with with political stability and partisanship. It says social and infrastructure issues, ranking that includes environmental and equity goals, place the U.S. lower between countries like Cuba and Bulgaria. Okay, which is Cuba is known for the embargoes put on it by America. Okay, it's just a tribe of Manasseh down there. It says citing issues with health, education, and economic security. Okay, so America is sliding into third world conditions, man. Okay, with more guns, man. So we know what that means. All right, so let's go here. I found this video, and the way he's breaking it down is like, God damn, I'm talking about just nonstop bad news on how you see they doing these people that are living in RVs now. Okay, this man is the devil, man. All right, and we know that the Lord is judging. All right, these Joe Sixpack Americans. Okay, with their own elites. Okay, and then you just look at it, you like, God damn. All right, Esau not giving them a break nowhere. Okay, so let's play this, man.
Now to an Eyewitness News investigation into what's essentially becoming homeless encampments on wheels. So-called van lords are renting out RVs to people who are now using them as their permanent resident.
New at 10, the Phoenix City Council is limiting medical care to homeless people in parks.
About an hour ago, after hours of discussion, the council approved the controversial ordinance that opponents believe will cost people's lives.
450,000 Americans are about to lose the only homes they have left. Not because of eviction notices, not because of disaster, but because RV living is being erased, quietly, legally, and fast. Cities are changing laws, land is closing, towing is accelerating, and before 2026, nearly 500,000 people will be forced to move with nowhere legal to go. This is the biggest RV homelessness explosion in U.S. history, and it has already begun. An estimated 450,000 Americans currently living in RVs, vans, and vehicles face forced displacement before 2026 due to rapid legal and policy changes. This number comes from overlapping data on vehicle dwellers, long-term RV residents, and informal housing populations tracked by housing researchers and municipal enforcement reports. Unlike previous homelessness waves, this group already has shelter, but that shelter is being made illegal across the country. Between 2023 and 2025, cities accelerated bans on overnight vehicle parking, RV street stays, and long-term public land use. What makes this crisis unique is the speed of change. Entire communities that had existed for years were removed in 30 to 90 days, often with little notice or warning. In many areas, enforcement letters now warn residents they must relocate immediately or face fines, towing, or complete vehicle seizure. Most displaced RV residents do not qualify for emergency shelters because they are technically considered housed. At the same time, they cannot transition into apartments due to rent requirements, credit checks, and deposits exceeding $5,000 to $8,000 in many metro areas. This creates a legal dead zone where people are told to move but given nowhere legal to go. By 2026, multiple states plan coordinated enforcement expansions tied to public safety, sanitation, and zoning regulations. The result is a forced migration of hundreds of thousands of people who are not counted in traditional homelessness statistics, making the scale of this displacement largely invisible until enforcement begins. Since 2023, more than 70 U.S. cities have changed vehicle dwelling and RV regulations, often quietly without public hearings or media coverage. Instead of outright bans, cities shortened legal parking windows from 72 hours to 24, 12, or even 4 hours, making long-term vehicle living mathematically impossible for residents. Many cities implemented rolling enforcement zones where traffic violations. Average fuel expenses for vehicle dwellers in high enforcement areas Another tactic is selective enforcement. Cities now use fines range from $75 to $500 per citation, compounding quickly and creating insurmountable debt. Crucially, these law changes often bypass voter input by being implemented through municipal codes or emergency ordinances. Many residents only learn the rules changed when enforcement arrives at their door. Appeals are rare, and grace periods are shrinking rapidly across, while effectively removing vehicle dwellers from their communities. The result is mass displacement, with location plans, shelter expansion, or housing alternatives, shifting the problem from one jurisdiction to the next, while increasing instability nationwide. Public land was once the last pressure valve for displaced RV residents seeking legal places to stay. That valve is now closing rapidly. Federal and state agencies have intensified enforcement of the 14-day rule, reduced dispersed camping zones, and added physical barriers like berms to prevent access. Between 2020 and 2025, accessible dispersed camping acreage near cities dropped by an estimated 35 to 40%. Many former RV-friendly zones were reclassified as environmentally sensitive, overused, or restricted for restoration. In practice, this removes access for people with no alternative housing options available. Enforcement methods have also changed dramatically. Rangers now use license plate tracking, drone monitoring, and coordinated sweeps to identify violators. Fines for overstaying range from $150 to over $1,000, with vehicle seizure authorized after repeated violations in many jurisdictions. Travel distances to legal public land have increased dramatically in recent years. In states like California, Arizona, and Colorado, many RV residents must now drive 60 to 120 miles from job centers to find legal land, an unsustainable commute when fuel averages $4 to $5 per gallon. Public land agencies emphasize recreation and conservation, not housing, meaning displaced RV residents are treated as violators rather than constituents. As enforcement tightens, thousands are being pushed back into cities that already banned them, creating a closed loop of displacement with no legal endpoint for residents. RV parks were once the fallback for people exiting street or public land displacement. That safety net has collapsed completely. Average monthly RV park rent increased from $450 in 2019 to $900 to $1,200 by 2025, with some metro areas exceeding $1,500 monthly. This increase is driven by land redevelopment, tourism demand, and consolidation by private equity firms purchasing properties.
God damn. That's the same as rent. You know, once you get to 950, close to 1,000, you know, the same as rent, 1,500. And then it said that the RV parks are being bought up by private equity. Man, that's the okay. The same people that's buying up all the houses and turning them into renter houses. Okay, these private equity companies, that's the elites, man. This is intentionally being done. All right, they want you people desperate when they bring this new world order, man. Okay, when they flip the switch on this new system, man, it's going to look like utopia to people, man, because of desperation. You know, the devil that the Bible speaks of, man. All these laws and, you know, restrictions and regulations putting hell on these people out here, man. Okay.
Long-term residents are being replaced by short-term travelers who pay higher nightly rates. Many parks now cap long-term stays at 30 to 90 days, even for permanent residents who have lived there for years. Additional costs compound the affordability problem significantly. Most parks now require RVs newer than 10 to 15 years, proof of insurance, background checks, and deposits of $500 to $1,000 up front. For low-income or fixed-income residents, these requirements are automatically disqualifying regardless of payment ability. Even those who can afford monthly rent often fail age or insurance rules for their vehicles. As a result, thousands of RV dwellers are locked out of the only legal housing option originally designed for them. This pushes people back onto streets or public land, precisely where enforcement is increasing most aggressively. RV parks are no longer transitional housing for families. They have become extraordinary markets aligned with tourism and profit rather than survival, leaving vulnerable populations with nowhere to turn when facing displacement from other areas. A hidden driver of this crisis is RV debt accumulation. Between 2020 and 2022, hundreds of thousands of Americans purchased RVs at inflated prices during the pandemic housing squeeze when traditional housing became unreachable. Now, RV values have collapsed 30 to 50%, while loan balances remain unchanged at original purchase levels. Many RV dwellers owe $20,000 to $40,000 on vehicles now worth only $10,000 to $18,000 in current markets. Selling is impossible without defaulting on loans. Repossession means immediate homelessness for families. Refinancing is rare because RV lenders tightened credit standards dramatically after 2023 market collapses. Monthly RV loan payments average $400 to $700, often combined with insurance, registration, and ongoing maintenance costs. When enforcement forces constant movement between locations, mechanical failures increase exponentially. Major repairs including transmissions, roof leaks, and electrical systems regularly exceed $5,000, which most residents cannot afford without devastating financial consequences. This creates a debt trap where people cannot sell, cannot repair, cannot legally park, and cannot transition to traditional housing. Bankruptcy often does not help because RVs are considered vehicles rather than primary residences in many states under current laws. RV homelessness is no longer just a housing issue for displaced families. It is a financial lock-in created by collapsing asset values, rigid lending structures, and shrinking legal space to exist, trapping hundreds of thousands in impossible situations with no clear pathway forward. One of the least discussed accelerators of RV homelessness is insurance cancellation by major providers. Since 2023, multiple insurers have stopped covering RVs older than 10 to 15 years, especially full-time occupied units. This matters because insurance is required to enter most RV parks, storage lots, and even some city-designated safe parking programs. Industry data shows that over 60% of RVs currently used as primary residences are more than 15 years old. When coverage is dropped, owners are given 30 to 60 days to find a new provider, often unsuccessfully despite extensive searching. Specialty insurers that still offer coverage charge 2 to 4 times higher premiums, sometimes exceeding $250 to $400 per month. Without insurance, RV dwellers become instantly non-compliant with parking and residency requirements. Parks deny entry immediately. Municipal programs reject applications outright. Police can cite uninsured vehicles even if they are legally parked otherwise. In some states, repeated uninsured citations lead to registration suspension, which then triggers immediate towing. This creates a cascading failure across housing options. Once towed, reclaiming an RV costs $800 to $2,500 in fees, money most residents do not have available. After 30 to 45 days, impounded vehicles are auctioned or destroyed completely. Insurance companies frame this as risk management, but the effect is structural eviction of vulnerable populations. People are not losing housing because of behavior or violations. They are losing it because insurance markets no longer recognize RVs as legitimate residences. Towing has become one of the most powerful displacement tools in the RV homelessness crisis nationwide. Cities increasingly rely on vehicle codes instead of housing laws because towing bypasses court oversight and tenant protections. Once an RV is tagged, owners often have 24 to 72 hours to move or lose everything they own. Tow costs vary by region, but typically range from $400 to $800 for the initial tow, plus $75 to $150 per day in storage fees. After just 2 weeks, total costs often exceed $2,000. For many RV dwellers, this is more than their entire monthly income combined. Data from municipal reports shows towing actions involving RVs increased 40 to 70% in major metro areas between 2022 and 2025. In many cases, personal belongings, medications, tools, and essential documents are lost permanently when vehicles are impounded without notice. Once an RV is impounded, legal recovery options are extremely limited. Courts often side with municipalities if any code violation is present, including expired registration, insurance lapse, or size classification issues. Even when owners win appeals after lengthy processes, fees are rarely refunded to residents. This process mirrors eviction, but without tenant protections, relocation assistance, or shelter placement options. Towing is fast, quiet, and irreversible for families. For thousands of RV residents nationwide, the tow truck is the exact moment they move from vehicle living into absolute homelessness with no possessions remaining. RV homelessness is no longer driven primarily by unemployment or job loss. By 2025, estimates show that 25 to 30% of long-term RV dwellers hold full-time jobs, while many others work part-time, gig, or seasonal positions consistently throughout the year. Despite employment, housing remains unreachable for working families. Median rents in many metro areas exceed $1,800, while landlords increasingly require income equal to 3 to 4 times monthly rent. That means a worker must earn $65,000 to $85,000 annually to qualify, far above wages in retail, logistics, caregiving, and service sectors. Vehicle dwellers face additional employment barriers beyond affordability. Without a fixed address, job applications, payroll systems, and background checks become complicated or impossible. Some employers quietly reject applicants who list P.O. boxes or shelters as addresses, creating further obstacles. Commuting costs also rise dramatically for working vehicle dwellers. Workers forced to relocate daily or live far from job centers spend $300 to $500 per month on fuel alone. Missed shifts due to enforcement sweeps or towing often lead to immediate termination without appeal options. This flips the traditional homelessness narrative completely. Employment no longer protects against displacement or housing loss. RV living has become a last resort housing strategy for workers trapped between stagnant wages and accelerating housing costs, with no clear pathway back to traditional housing, despite maintaining full-time employment throughout the crisis. Adults aged 55 and older now represent the fastest growing segment of RV homelessness nationwide. By 2025, seniors account for an estimated 35 to 40% of long-term RV residents in some regions across the country. Fixed incomes are the core issue driving senior displacement. The average Social Security benefit is approximately $1,900 per month, while average rents exceed that amount in most urban areas currently. RV living becomes the only mathematically viable option for survival on fixed retirement income. However, seniors face unique risks that younger populations do not. Medical care often requires a permanent address for service delivery. Prescription refills, Medicare Advantage networks, and home health services frequently deny service without proof of residence. Missed care leads to rapid health decline and emergency situations. Physical limitations also make constant relocation dangerous for older adults. Enforcement zones requiring daily movement disproportionately affect seniors with mobility issues, chronic conditions, or disabilities. Falls, heat exposure, and missed medications are increasingly reported among older vehicle dwellers facing enforcement pressure.
The devil that the Bible speaks of, man. All right. And this is, the reality, okay, for more and more Americans, man. You see, in the RV is the last phase before, being homeless. You see, and this is why we, should be extremely grateful, man. Because it could be a lot worse. Could always be a lot worse, man. Okay? We should be extremely appreciative, of the position that the Lord has us in. Okay? Now let's get a few precepts, man. But yeah, man, that's the devil at work. Okay? The cruel Lord. You see, if they can't catch a break, all right. But this is a man, he just gets off on tormenting the poor. Okay? This is Proverbs 28:15. It says, a wicked ruler is as dangerous to the poor as a roaring lion or an attacking bear. Okay? Because it's just you're constantly under attack. Everything costs, man. Okay? He just put all these new rules and stipulations in that. Well, and he does. And he does that with everything, not just, the RV parks and, the RV, situation. He does that with everything, man. All these extra charges, man. He's intentionally, inflating, all right, causing inflation, devaluing the money. Okay, and then it's just more cost, man. Everything is a subscription, a cost, and pay for this. And, everything has some type of payment on it, man. Okay? So it's just like you're under constant attack under this man's rulership. Okay? Every little piece of paper you get, $100, $50, $200 for this permit. You see? You can only have so many trees per acre. That's a fine. Like, God damn. It's always finding new things to charge you for. So it's like, nigga, too much, man. Okay? But just as I said, a wicked ruler is as dangerous to the poor as a roaring lion or an attacking bear, man. Okay? So this man is just always in attack mode. Okay? When it comes to how he runs the earth, man. And he's especially harsh on the poor. Here it is. He creates poverty, but then he's pissed at people for being poor. Okay? This is an absolute madman that's in power, man. Esau is not normal. Okay, don't let the suit, okay, and the lab coat fool you, man. This nigga is not normal, man. Okay, especially the elites, okay, and their underlings, man. It's Isaiah 14:6. It says, "You struck the people with endless blows or rage, and held the nations in your angry grip with unrelenting tyranny, man." With unrelenting tyranny, man. He just rules as a madman. Okay? And America it's going to get worse, man. And you Americans, okay? Because you're complicit. And like brothers made a beautiful point, a lot of you Edomites is coming back, and catching this hell, there's a good chance y'all with them slave owners coming back, man. Because at least, even back then, they was above those slave owners. That's who took the slaves from, the slave owners, and put them in these plants was the elites. Okay? So these Edomites is coming back, catching hell. The hell with you Edomites, man. Okay? We don't feel no type of way. All right? We're just thankful that the Lord has given us faith, the comforter, which is the scriptures. We catch hell. We check at times, most of the time. Okay. You see? Hey, well, we're grateful, man. We have the truth and we have a hope in the whole new world, man. All right, a whole new age. You see? So let's go here. And I end it here, man. Just a precept of appreciation for us. All right? Because it's gonna get worse, man. And even when we lose it all, because it's a good chance we're going to go homeless, but we're going homeless for Yahweh Shah's sake. Okay, and there's provision that's already made. But you people, you just threw out here. You just done. Okay? Psalms 34:8. It says, taste and see that the Lord Yahweh Bashim Al-Shah is good, and through it all, our power has us in a good estate. You look at brothers, our brothers is good, man. In the midst of all this, brothers is good. Quite sure, you few sisters, man, y'all good. Okay? It ain't, so no, man, we trust our power. He's constantly showing us that he is, man. And the Lord has given us the faith to trust in those provisions, man. The Lord ain't just got us out here through. Okay? And even when, we begin to take major loss for the sake of Yahweh Shah, there's provisions already made. Okay? It says, oh, the joys of those who take refuge in him. Fear the Lord Yahweh Bashim Al-Shah, ye his godly people. For those who fear him will have all they need. So we're always going to have all we need. Okay? And we have hope in something beyond this, man. Okay? And eventually the Lord is going to destroy the whole landmass of America, man. We're going to be on those chariots as immortals, man. That's our hope, man. So that was the point. Lord will, you brothers. All right, and you sisters edified once again. I want to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Kakwadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples to us younger brothers, and peace and blessing and salutation. Hopefully they got the pushing his word in truth and in sincerity across the four winds. In the name of Yahweh Bashim Al Shah, pushing to get up out of here. Shalom.